what's next then? Action, right?
Yeah.
What kind of, and that's what, like we said, our dad was talking about, that he started reading, he started walking to clear his head, he started working out more, he started dieting. So how important is that next massive action then?
Well, it's super important, but it's also different for everybody, right? And so I see these affirmations, and it's always with body image, right? And I think for people who really do, if somebody's, a little thicker and they really, and in their mind, they dig that.
Yeah.
And that's honest, then that's great, right? And people shouldn't be shaming those things, at all, right? But it's just, for me, it's just about honesty. And I think the next thing that you need to take inventory, of, first you got to handle you first, right? You've got to have, certain things in abundance in order to give them to other people. But another thing that I'm really, really big on, as well as massive action, that I'm really big on and taking inventory with, is a saying that got said to me really when I was early in owning my own business, just through a networking event. Somebody said it, and it gets said a lot, but that you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. And I think that's super, super important. I think a lot of people, just like they confuse affirmations and just like they confuse positive talk, is they confuse good people, or a good average of 5 people, just with people that are nice to them. Right? And the example that I use all the time, or that immediately pops into my head, have you ever seen a morbidly obese dog?
Yes. The first thing that popped in my head was a fat cat, though, because it's usually
normally
cat.
Cats, right? But it's nothing more because I like dogs more than cats. There's nothing more heartbreaking to me than when I see, somebody who's, and maybe it's an older person, right? Their animals are always really, really obese, probably just because they don't have the energy to exercise it or whatever else. But when you see that really, really obese dog, that person's being nice to it, right? They're not being mean to it. They're not beating it. They're not yelling at it. They're not doing anything. They're not saying no to anything, right? They're giving it exactly what it wants. Like you said earlier, they paw at the bowl. They fill it with more food. They feed it a ton of people food. When they're eating ice cream, they give it ice cream. All of this.
It's like Adam Sandler and That's My Boy when he's
he's feeding them. That's My Boy. And
That's My Boy. When he gives him the tattoo when he's
Oh yeah. Well, it's also in Big Daddy, right?
Oh,
what
yeah,
do you want
same
your
thing.
name to be? Or what do you want for lunch? 30 packets of ketchup, right? And he's just letting the kid do, whatever he wants, right? And so when you were growing up, why didn't your parents let you do whatever you want? You would have become a really unhealthy kid, So when you're, why don't you let your dog, do whatever it wants? Why don't you let it jump on people? Why don't you let it hump people's legs? Why don't you let it just do whatever it wants? Why don't you let it just be a kid? Why don't you just let it be a dog? Because it's not fucking good for it, right?
And it doesn't know what's good for him.
Yeah, it doesn't know, what's good for him, okay? But when you reach a level of, when you become an adult, okay, you've got to reach a level of maturity where you're surrounding yourself with good friends. Some people just never grow up, right? They surround themselves with people they either surround themselves with people that are lesser than them, and by lesser than them, I don't mean that to sound mean, but they surround themselves, if they're tired of trying to get fit, they just hang out with fatter people, right? If they, to feel intelligent, they just hang out with people who are less smart, than them. But if you're not hanging out with people that level you up, you're never going to achieve those goals, and you're never going to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, right? So just hang out with people that are really nice to you, okay, doesn't mean that they're being good to you. Like that old lady that has the dog whose stomach is dragging on the fucking ground, right? She's being nice to it, okay? She's also killing it.
Not looking out for its best interest.
She's not looking out, she's not looking out for its best interest, right? The parents who, let their kids drink Mountain Dew every single day and stay up late and, don't have a normal bedtime, right? They're being nice to their kid, right? But they're not setting their kid up for success, right? The difference when you're an adult is you have the choice to choose those 5 people that are around you, right? And so the example that I use all the time is the girl who's trying to lose weight, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, I should really eat right, but I'm feeling like a fat ass today. I'm going to eat this pint of Ben & Jerry's.
The Bachelor's on.
Yeah, The Bachelor's on. And her friend, right, who maybe she's confided those goals in, is, girl, if you do, I will,
Yeah.
right? We deserve it, right? And then, you know, they just cancel. They don't just cancel out the past workout that they did. They cancel out the past 10 workouts, you know, that they did. But that's being a good friend, being fat asses together, right? And it's like, no, that's not being a good friend.
I'm being supportive.
Yeah, I'm being supportive, right? Well, that's why we're all human, right? And we're all gonna have moments like that, okay? But you need to be hanging out with people that are gonna be like, no, you know, like, no, bro. Like when you're like, oh man, you know, I really want my abs, but I really feel like having. You want to polish this 30 rack?
Yeah,
with me
you want to go to the
tonight?
bar?
Like,
Yeah.
like, no, bro. Like, no, bro. Like, we're gonna look like a bunch of fat asses. We do that, dude. It's just we'll cook something, grab a chicken breast, grab some rice, do whatever. You know, come on, dude. We're doing so good. Let's not do that, right?
Dude, we all have those friends where you're like, man, but a pizza sounds really good
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
And they're tempting you.
yeah, and they just want you to do it. Misery loves company, right? Okay, and I always flip it on its head. We'll play devil's advocate, right? And so it sounds like, you know, we're saying only hang out with people that are going to be brutally honest with you and beat you up, right? No, because there's people, I've seen toxic, you know, friendship relationships where, you know, you haven't confided goals in that person, and if that person's just calling you a fat ass, that person's just being an asshole to you, that person's just, you know, mocking your weight or, you know, putting you down. You don't want those people in your life either, right? But you want people that you feel comfortable enough confiding your goals in, confiding your aspirations in, and having them be there to say, hey man, you know, hey, when you're getting close to, you know, the edge, be like, hey, don't jump, right? You don't need that ice cream. You don't need this. You don't need those things. And so I think that's really, really, really important. It's not confusing, you know, people that are nice with you as a true support system. A support system is something that's going to move you forward towards your aspirations. A support system isn't somebody who's going to enable you, right? Yeah. And, you know, they talk about that. I mean, when they talk about addictions like AA and stuff like that, they tell you, one of the rules they tell you, you know, stay away from people who are going to, you know, that person's an enabler. You have to stay away from that person. If that person comes around, you call me. They have a sponsor that they can like literally call to stay away from somebody who's an enabler or who will give them that drug or give them that drink of alcohol, right? And so are the 5 people that you're hanging around with the most enablers? Are they enabling your bad habits? Are they making you feel okay about your bad habits? Or are they somebody that's lifting you up? And that's tough to do because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be the fattest person in the group of friends. It's uncomfortable to be the least smart out of the group of friends, or it's uncomfortable, you know, to be around, you know, to be maybe the only single person, you know, in that group of friends if having a relationship is something that's meaningful to you. But if you need to hang out with other people that have what you want, and that takes somebody that's secure with themselves. And again, it's why it's so important to keep promises to yourself. If you can't keep promises to yourself, you're never going to feel confident enough to hang out with people that are greater than you. And that was something for me when I started, you know, I found myself starting to become very disciplined and keep more promises to myself. We do these networking events in Dallas, Texas every single year, like 3 times a year. And the first one that I went to was super, super intimidating. But I got later in my career and it was something that I couldn't wait to go to. And there were people there that were so much, you know, more successful than me and so much more advanced in their careers and doing so much better than I am even right now. But the reason why I'm actually excited to go, is because of the confidence that I've been able to instill in myself through keeping promises to myself, through keeping inventory and hanging out with people that I feel level me up.